Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to our study of Luke, 5 Minutes with Luke. Some of you have asked about the absence of those and when I would start back again, and I appreciate your interest in this study of the Word of God. We'd taken a break for a few days, but I want us to pick up. This will be installment number 40, and we start in Luke chapter 14 and verse 25. Let's read verses 14 through 25 together. In verse 14, or verse 25, excuse me, we're in chapter 14. Whoever does not bear his own cross, and come after me, cannot be my disciple. Remember, Jesus had already been talking about those who were invited to the feast, being invited to Christ. He was talking to those Jews who were unwilling to accept him as Messiah. And he said those who were invited, who rejected, would not be able to come. And now he pointedly says, whoever does not bear his own cross, willing to commit to me, even if it cost him his own life. Folks, when those listening to Jesus understood the idea of bearing his own cross, we have weakened that phrase today, but they understood because they had seen the Roman practice of those being marched to the cross carrying that beam of their own instrument of execution. And it was a horrible and disgraceful way to die in the eyes of a Jew. And so Jesus said here, you have to be willing to take up your cross, make that 100% commitment, no matter what it takes. For which of you, now he goes into a little deeper thought here. For which of you, desiring to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it? Otherwise, when he has laid a foundation and is not able, all who see it will begin to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Or, what king going out to encounter another king in war will not sit down first and deliberate whether he is able with 10,000 to meet him, supposed to be him, to meet him who comes against him with 20,000? And if not, while the other is a great way off, he sends a delegation and asks for peace. Now, verse 33. So therefore, any of you who does not renounce all that he has cannot be my disciple. Now, understand what Jesus is saying here. He said, first of all, you have to be willing to take up your cross, to commit yourself. He'd already talked about those who did love father, mother, son, daughter more than me. And we discussed that in our last installment. But that doesn't mean that we literally despise our family members, but it means that there is absolutely nothing that comes before my commitment to Jesus Christ. There is absolutely nothing that prevents me, that supersedes my commitment to the Son of God, my complete soul's commitment in living this life for him. Now, Jesus went on to say that we have to, as we take up that cross, let's think about the two analogies that he used. A man building a house, he lays the foundation, but then he doesn't have the money to finish it. He doesn't have the materials to finish it. They laugh at him. Why would they laugh at him? Because why didn't you think ahead? Why didn't you plan and consider what it was going to take? And then he uses a very plain analogy. A king with 10,000 men is going to war with a king who has 20,000 men. Very foolish, isn't it? But he stops and he deliberates. He thinks about, he understands what it's going to cost. And so he makes peace instead. Why? Because that was the right way to go. Now, there are two takeaways from today's lesson. Number one, you have to remove that which misplaces your priorities. You have to get out of the way anything that would stand in the way of your priority to Christ, and you have to prepare for long-term commitment. You have to count the cost. What's it going to take for me to be a servant of Christ for my entire life? And I have to make the adjustments just like that king did as I am preparing and planning for a long-term commitment. Thank you so very much for listening today. May God bless.